En el mutuo,
In the mutuum, in the loan of fungible goods, what ultimately takes place in economic terms is an exchange of present goods for future goods.
y bienes futuros.
I hand over to you 10 euros today in exchange for you returning them to me in 3 days, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or a year. An essential category in economics is the category of time preference. According to the category of time preference, other things being equal, human beings prefer present goods to future goods. This category is an intrinsic part of human nature, and therefore universally valid, and it exists in our minds in all circumstances, simply because we are human beings. We cannot understand ourselves nor the world around us without the category of time preference. What this category tells us is that with our action, human beings seek to accomplish certain ends, which we consider worthwhile, and to which we attach a certain subjective value. And what separates us from our desired end, whatever it may be, in the sphere of academics, friendship, entrepreneurship, philanthropy, etc., is a time period composed of a series of successive stages that we must complete in order to achieve our much desired end. And it makes no difference whether the end is to get a degree. Clearly the stages there comprise 4 years of study, including exams, etc., or to win a girl's affections. I will have to devise a strategy and go step by step. The goal may be to throw a party and make a Spanish omelette, which also requires time and steps. One of the steps is to realize we have no oil and ask to borrow some from a neighbor. The point is that because we wish to achieve an end from which we are separated by a time period composed of a series of successive stages, then clearly, other things being equal, the sooner we accomplish our end, the better. The end is what we want to achieve, and a period of time and a series of stages separate us from it. The sooner we accomplish our end, the better, because our end is precisely what we want to accomplish. And between two ends of identical subjective value to us in all aspects except one, their differing availability in time, which will we prefer, other things being equal? The one that is closer or the one that is further away? The one that is closer. Let's say I'm a girl. I want to get married, and I have 2 suitors who are equally handsome, both good people who get along with me, have the same amount of money, and court me equally well. The thing is that one is a little unsure and says, well, I don't know if I want to get married or not, and in any case, I'm going to wait 10 years to decide. And the other says, listen, I'm willing. If you say yes, I'll ask for your hand and marry you now. Well, the girl in question wants to get married. Which suitor will she choose if in all other aspects they are identical? The one willing to marry her sooner. Human action, a set of stages which take time. Other things being equal, we always prefer the ends that are closest to us in time, and that is precisely what the category of time preference consists of. That is why it is called time preference. We prefer what is closer in time to what is further away. Other things being equal, we prefer present goods to future goods. However, this law or category of our human nature has a flip side, and the same principle can also be expressed in the following way. I am only willing to postpone the achievement of my much desired end if it will be of greater value to me. That is perfectly clear. So it may turn out that both suitors are equally desirable, but one is a multimillionaire and the other is terribly poor. In all other aspects they are equal. They are both good people, they have moral principles, they love me, etc. If they are equal in everything else, but one is a multimillionaire and the other is poor, and the multimillionaire tells me we need to wait 2 years, then perhaps in that case, just perhaps, I, the student, would make my economic calculations and say, well, it is in my interest to wait. But didn't the professor say that people always prefer present goods to future goods? Of course, but in this case, it turns out that I am willing to postpone into a more distant future the achievement of my much-desired end, because the end is going to be of greater value to me. Likewise, in loans in which the lender gives up a present good and hands it over to the borrower and loses the availability for a period of time, people are only willing to lend the good if, when it is returned to them in the future, they receive the equivalent in quantity and quality to what they gave, as well as an additional amount. In economics, this additional amount, which is received at some point in the future, is called interest. Because the lender loses the availability of the item, there is an exchange of present goods for future goods, and according to the general principle of time preference, one is willing to give up this availability only if, in time, one receives an additional quantity in the form of interest. In this course, we will see that all human beings have a scale of time preference, that we always subjectively value the present more than the future, but that the psychic intensity of our valuations varies from one human being to the next. It varies even within ourselves, according to historical circumstances. And we will see that this gives rise to numerous opportunities for mutually satisfying exchanges. Those people who have an extremely high rate of time preference are willing to close deals with others who, though they do have time preference, it is not so intense in them. They are willing to give up the present as long as they receive some amount of interest. A person with an urgent need is willing to pay a high rate of interest, and so a mutually satisfactory deal is closed. We will also see that in the market there is an entrepreneurship-driven process which tends to set a market price for present goods in terms of future goods. That market price, which is set each day in the market, is called the interest rate, and it is one of the essential characteristics of a loan, mainly a loan of fungible goods, and more specifically, a loan of money.